guess the focus of the week is trying to get an outright championship on Thursday. I mean, is that obviously you want to win these games, finish strong, but how much of a priority is that?
Yeah, we're going to talk about it this afternoon and try to set the table about how important this game is to earn the outright regular season championship, just like we did leading up to Saturday's game in terms of clinching the #1 seed. And I think it's great the way it's worked out, the way it's played out for us to be able to put a little pressure on ourselves and just try to replicate as best we can what it will feel like in Vegas with, the mentality of, must win. And so we're going to try to do that with our team and try to take care of that on Thursday night.
I thought the first time around against UMKC, I guess they're just a team that couldn't keep up with you offensively. It seemed like you guys did a good job defensively, but I don't know if is that how you see them? Like, if you take care of business defensively, you should be out okay on Thursday night.
I haven't really dove into them yet. I will as soon as we get done here. Really just focused on trying to break the video down of Saturday's game and learn from that, which we'll get into with the team here this afternoon. But, I know they're very capable. They beat Grand Canyon recently on their home floor. I haven't played where we're going to play Thursday in their on-campus facility, and I'd assume there'll be a decent crowd for our game. And I know it's a smaller venue, and so we'll have to deal with that type situation. And like every team, they're going to be up to play us, and they're going to be trying to gain some momentum, going into the last week of the regular season and preparing for the conference tournament. So, we'll have to just focus in on them here in the next few days.
It seems like during a long conference season, like I think you even described it, that there are some dog days in the middle of the league, but now is it kind of like postseason mode, and is that easier to get guys going, I guess?
Yeah, no question. I mean, you can see the shoreline, the end's in sight, and this time of the year, I mean, March is peeking around the corner, and all eyes are on college basketball now, and they'll continue to be so for, the next couple months. And our guys are aware of that. And I think we've gotten through the dog days, like you mentioned. We're going to have a couple stretches here after we get done with this week where how it ends, where we only play, the Saturday game again, and then have off until the following Thursday. So that'll be a little bit of a grind practice-wise, and we'll have to be careful on how much, we practice, how long we practice, et cetera. But, certainly they know what's on the horizon, and I think they'll have a bounce in their step all week.
Have you felt this kind of whack season, you guys, and you kind of mentioned it kind of going into UMKC, that you're getting every team's best shot with you guys kind of being at the top there and being at the top last year as well?
I mean, it's hard to gauge because obviously, I'm not in the other arenas when these teams are playing the other teams other than watching the video post-game. But certainly, my experience says that when the team that's above you in the standings comes to town, or you're going to their place to play them, that, you amp it up a little bit more, and that it would be a signature win, for your team. I've been in those situations at previous stops. And, the other thing is players tend to rise and fall with their level of play. As much as the coach tries to guard against it and talk about it, leading up to a game where your record may be better than your opponent, but just from experience that that's just the way human nature is. And I think that is the case for us too. Is some teams tend to play a little bit better maybe when we play them, and you just try to guard against it as best you can.
Coach, when you play UMKC this week and win and wrap up the title, you've got it, you've won outright. What's the mentality like for this team with 2 games left to play in the regular season before the WAC tournament? You've wrapped it up, you've got 2-game cushion. I know you're 1 game at a time, but how do you approach knowing that you've got, if you win, that 2-game cushion before you hit that 3-game run in the WAC?
Obviously, I'd be better served to, answer that question after Thursday if we end up winning that game. But our mantra the last couple weeks has really been to get better, to really try to understand that a lot of teams at this point in the season are playing to their max, if you will, playing close to, what their potential output could be. And I didn't feel like, we were or are playing to our potential in terms of, playing your best, down the stretch, which everybody talks about at this stage in the season. So win or lose on Thursday, it's still going to be about trying to get better. And at this point, going into Vegas is going to be huge in terms of our momentum and how we feel about ourselves, our confidence level, and everything will be geared, toward that. And we're no different than anybody else. Everybody else is going to want that positive momentum, et cetera. So hopefully, we'll play well Thursday and get better and, wrap up an outright conference championship. But if we don't, we're going to have to, pick ourselves off the mat and try to do it on Saturday. But certainly our goal is to try to take care of business on Thursday. And then at that point, I just don't see this team letting up. I don't worry about those guys saying, well, there's nothing to play for, because that's just not their nature. And there is a lot to play for because of the impending WAC tournament on the horizon.
Is any part of that also the fact that keep winning ball games and you win the WAC tournament championship, you get a higher seed, you get a better matchup?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly in the back of my mind at times. We don't talk about that with our team, but certainly it could be a bullet point for us if indeed, we end up winning on Thursday, and we can start talking about that a little bit, about not, stubbing our toe. And if we were fortunate enough to win the conference tournament again, trying to put ourselves in the best position possible. And I think at some point that will be in the conversation, but we haven't gone there yet.
What, before you dive into UMKC, what do you think the challenges you guys are going to face on Thursday night against a team that you're seeing for a second time?
I think the first thing we're going to have to get our head around is just playing on the road. We've been at home for 4 straight games, and it's been awesome not to have to travel and play in front of our home, fans and have that advantage. And now, we got to, leave Wednesday and pack up for a 5-day road swing with a bunch of flights and hotels, et cetera. And certainly we've been there, done that, but it just feels like it's been quite some time since we've done that. And so we'll have to kind of get our minds around that. And then, like I said earlier, we're going to play a team that is athletic, and they got a point guard out front, Xavier Bishops, that's very has the potential to go off on any given night. And then the guard that he runs with, McKissick, is a great compliment to him. And they've got some size around the basket, and they're going to be hungry for a win. They're going to be hungry for a win. They've played well at home, so we'll have plenty of challenges that await us in Kansas City.
Part of winning the WAC was you're able to, I guess, decide when you want to play. I was wondering if you determine which game, and when, if not, when are you going to let the WAC know?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not really sure how that goes in terms of the timeline. But in my mind, I mean, we're going to play the noon game. But, again, I haven't been contacted about that, and I'm sure that will be coming down the chute here shortly, and I'm sure a lot of information will get out to our fans as well.
What about Chicago State on Saturday and playing them for a second time?
Yeah, again, I haven't delved into them. I know they're having a rough season in the win-loss column, but when we played them here, they didn't have their full squad. They had some injuries, but they also had some kids that he sat down for disciplinary reasons that were some of their better players. So we played a shell of their team, and so we're going to have to understand that it's going to be a different team. And you're going, like we talked about earlier with competition, and players tend to rise and fall. Sometimes their level of play, and our guys are going to know that they're not having a great season. And it's going to be about our approach. It'll be about our mindset to be ready to play and respect them, and understand that we feel like we're playing for more at this point than they are, and just making sure that we are all on the same page when the ball's tipped that particular game.
Coach, the fans get into this kind of situation when they see a team that's won 24 games and they don't see any recognition nationally. Is that anything at all that you care about? That you're not showing up in polls? Does that matter to you? How do you feel about that kind of recognition, playing from a fan's point of view?
Well, it's always positive when you get people talking about you regionally or nationally. It can only help your profile for your program. And I understand that, and certainly from a fan's perspective, I'm sure they get into it a little bit more than maybe we do. But at the same time, there's a lot of positives that come from that. And we've had bits and pieces recently where we've had some articles written and people have recognized what's going on down here. And hopefully we'll just continue to win. All we can control is our play and as much as we can, the outcome of each and every game. And if we continue winning, hopefully we'll pick up some momentum that way. And but I can't, obviously I can't control what these people are writing about and who they're talking about.
Talk about wanting to get better, and each week we kind of talk about how you think that there's still a long way to go. Do you think that you kind of narrowed that gap a little bit over the week?
After watching the video, I was pretty disappointed defensively. We didn't play very well. Our numbers weren't very good either. And it is what it is at this point. We had got our defensive efficiency down to the low 80s, and now it's back up to mid-90s. And, when I watched the video, we don't have any shot blocking at the rim. And when you don't have that, your room for error shrinks. You don't have erasers. It's not like you can erase stuff. Like when you make a mistake with the pencil, you can erase it. Well, we don't have erasers around the basket. So when we make mistakes out front, we pay for it. And then the other thing that I think what happens is we do a pretty good job of taking people out of their sets, and then it becomes a lot of isolations. Like I think we're number one in the country defensively on people not having assisted baskets. Like percentage of baskets that are assisted, we're number one in the country. And what that tells me is we do a decent job of taking away the first and second options, but then it becomes an ISO situation, and we're not very big out front either. And certainly we got speed and quickness and some tenacity, but when teams go one-on-one against they're a little bit bigger than us, and sometimes they can just shoot over us, and that's frustrating. And so we've still got to continue to figure out how to be a little bit better in those one-on-one situations and try to not, we just can't afford to make mistakes out front because of what I just explained of not having a lot of erasers around the basket.
Does that just put more pressure on you guys to make shots and try to outscore people? I mean, this time of year, I don't know how much of improvement you can make anywhere.
Yeah, I hate saying that or even hearing that, but there's maybe some truth to it. We're winning in a different fashion than what I'm used to. In recent years, even as an assistant, we defended and rebounded and out-toughed some people. And, certainly we tried to be as good as we could offensively. But, last year, for instance, we won because of our defense. And then certainly, some individuals carried us offensively at times, but our offensive efficiency is really, really good. I mean, and we do have a little bit of that in us where, we can score the ball better, than we have. And, but at the same time, I don't want to go into games and talking about trying to outscore someone. I still want to rely on our defense, and our rebounding's been terrific, all year long. We're in the top 10, 15 in the country and on both sides of the ball. But it sure is nice to know, that we've got so many weapons on the perimeter, and our efficiency's gotten better, and they really believe in one another, and their confidence on the offensive end is really, really good. If we could cut down our turnovers and not turn the ball over as much, we'd get more shots, and obviously we'd score more points. So it's nice to have that offensive potential, but at the same time, I really believe that what we can get better at in the next 2 to 3 weeks is what we just described, and mostly it's on the defensive end.
Comes with just having a successful season, but I know that's not why you coach. Totally, you want to win games, but I mean, you've been able to rack up some, your contract's written somewhere to you get bonuses. You have, you've hit pretty much every realistic bonus, and I was just wondering if you had anything if you thought about that at all.
Not really. We're just really focused on trying to get better and win games, and that just plays out the way it does.
Yeah.